Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So, last week I brought you the top 10 epic champions for Clan Boss. Earlier this week I brought you the top 10 rare champions for Clan Boss. What is next on the agenda? Obviously we're going to be covering the top 10 legendary champions inside the game, the big guns so to speak inside this game for Clan Boss. Now, when I went down to kind of look over all these champions and start making my list, I realized there's like 20 really S tier champions for Clan Boss inside Legendary. So I decided to make this ranking a non-void legendary top 10, and then I'll do a void legendary top 10 in a few weeks, or if you guys don't want it, let me know too. That's really like the top tier, the hardest to get in the game, so I figured at least a top 10, not including voids, would apply to more people overall. I hope you guys understand, but you know, shout out to all the the warlords and the arbiters and everybody else who's amazing, especially that new champion, Sifi the Lost Bride. Dude, I said it before, but I think she's the best champion in the game. Anyway, today we're going to go ahead and jump into this list. Just as the other lists, this is not going to be ranked because it depends on what role you need these champions to be filling inside your overall team composition. So let's go ahead and start things out. Alright, so what would this list be without Dragomorph? Dragomorph is insane against Clan Boss. His A1 is really cool against Clan Boss because it attacks one enemy, damage increases by 10% for each debuff on the target. So if there's 10 debuffs on the Clan Boss, which there normally is, especially in a poison team kind of anchored by Dragomorph, you're landing 100% extra damage on that A1, not bad at all. Number 2 is attacks 4 times. Each time has a chance of placing obviously the strong version of poison, as with all the legendaries. Debuff for 3 turns, so a great poison layer that's on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. And on the A3 has that weaken on there, obviously important against Clan Boss, and also the decreased defense debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Just a sick kit for Clan Boss, one of the best, if not the best, overall Clan Boss champion inside the game is Dragomorph. Before he was buffed, he was awful. Now he's just SS tier, second to none. That's why he starts this list at number 1. Next up is Tyrant Lamore, and this guy is just insane looking. I mean, he has one of the cooler aesthetics in the game. All of these champions, but especially Tyrant here. Anyway, Tyrant has on his A1, attacks one enemy, he's demon spawn magic, attacks one enemy, heals his champion by 25% of the damage inflicted, heals his champion by 50% of the damage inflicted instead if the target is under HP burn. He's an amazing HP burn, overall damage dealer against Clan Boss, and he heals himself. He kind of has that built into his A1, kind of like that lifesteal ability, already just, you know, great sustainability on this character. On his A2, he has attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing that HP burn, can be booked up all the way to 100%, so he's going to be landing that HP burn, built in with high accuracy. And on the A3 has the ally protect 50% and the 60% increased defense on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. This guy's a monster in Clan Boss, and you guys can see why. The defense up, he's laying the HP burn, he has the passive damage increased, decreased damage inflicted by enemies under HP burn, debuffs by 10%, so that's going to be landing on the Clan Boss as well. Just insane champion overall. Definitely deserves to be top 10 on this list. Number 3 is Badalazar. Badal is a beast. He's the champion that allows you to run Clan Boss teams consistently at any difficulty level without having to have that lifesteal gear set on all your champions. He gives you a huge luxury of being able to gear your champions, you know, going for those set stats, those set bonuses, in not having to worry about 4 pieces of gear wasted on lifesteal, you know, and that's because of his A2, which we'll talk about. He has a little heal ability. He doesn't have incredible damage or attack on him. You're not going to be building him with incredibly high attack, so he can't be like your main healer, but, well, I guess his A2 is pretty dang close. Anyway, attacks all enemy, heals his champion and all allies by 20% of the damage inflicted. On the A2, removes all debuffs from all allies, stripping away those poisons, and then places 2 15% continuous heal buffs on all allies for 2 turns, places 2 5% poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns, again on a 3-turn cooldown. He's laying poisons, he's healing your team up, he's stripping away the debuffs, he's really solid. And then on the A3, all allies inflict 15%, or the passive, excuse me, all allies inflict 15% more damage against targets under poison debuffs. what better champion for a clan boss than Bad L? Definitely belongs on this list. Has kind of a crit rate aura, so not incredibly useful, but he is just an all-star champion, no doubt about it. Coming in at number 4 is Duchess. She is insane too. All these champions are insane. I'm going to stop repeating it over and over and over again. On her A1, she attacks one enemy 2 times, and then she places a shield buff equal to 10% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns on herself and the ally with the lowest HP. Incredibly useful against clan boss, always kind of picking up the ally who needs it the most along with her. And then on the A2, has the increase attack and the block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns, and the perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns as well. Obviously not going to help against the AoE, but it will help against the stuns, so she'll be getting all the stuns from the clan boss. And then on the A3, revives all dead allies on the 4-turn cooldown, revives all dead allies with 70% HP, places a veil buff on all allies except this champion for 1 turn, and the continuous heal for 2 turns as well. That's an insane ability on the A3. And the passive, as if that's not enough, right? From Duchess, guys, decrease the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25%. From 15% from bosses. Decreases the damage taken from all allies by AoE attacks by 40% if an ally is under the veil, 25% off the AoE from bosses. Just an incredible champion. Definitely, again, belongs on this list, there's no doubt about it. So what would a list be without the counterattack champions? And there's 2 of them, you guys know who they are. Starting with Valkyrie here, she is a Spirit Barbarian Affinity champion. I still don't have Valkyrie. I want her so bad. She's a beast. She's, you know, again, Skull Crusher and Valkyrie and Martyr are the only counterattack champions on all allies in the game, so she's incredibly important if you want to have a speed-tuned counterattack team. And her kit is really simple, just 2 times on the A1, and check out the A2 here. It's a really good ability, 3-turn cooldown when booked up, attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on all allies for 3 turns, and a counterattack buff on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield and the damage inflicted are proportional to this champion's defense. I believe she has the strongest, the highest base defense inside the entire game as well. If not, she's definitely top 3. So she is super solid. Again, just that counterattack, it's so valuable inside this game. Next up is Martyr, another Spirit Affinity Sacred Order champion. If I had to choose between her and Valkyrie, personally I would take Martyr, but it's really close. But she, just for clan boss now, she's a beast as well. Attacks 1 enemy, 45% chance of placing that decreased defense buff that can be booked all the way up to 75% as well. So decreased defense on the A1, super solid, especially considering she is a counterattack champion. So she's going to be counterattacking a lot of chances to keep those decreased defense up throughout the entire battle of the clan boss. On the A2, places an increased defense 60% and a counterattack buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And then on the A3, attacks all enemies, 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns and a provoke for 1 turn. So really incredibly solid. Has a decreased defense, has the decreased attack, also has the increased defense and the counterattack. That's 4 incredibly strong abilities all in one champion. Martyr is insane. Alright, so next up I have Longbeard. Now this was a very difficult decision because he was like with a group of about 6 champions that I had all were for 1 spot on this list, kind of that 10 spot I guess if I was going to be ranking them. I picked out the 9 best really easily and I was like, geez, who do I go with? Do I go with like Vizier? Do I go with Altan? I decided to go with Longbeard because I feel like he's kind of a little bit different. Everybody knows about a lot of these champions, but Longbeard, I mean, you might know about him, but either way, I think he's really cool and somewhat underrated. Let's see. Well, he has a 4.8, so I guess he's not that underrated by those people who actually have him. He is Magic Affinity, he's Skinwalker, and the cool thing about him is he's putting out a decent amount of damage, but and he has the weaken on the A2, which is important to have on one of your champions. But it's really this Horde's Fury, which is really cool when you're using it on Clan Boss with a poison team on the A1. So you have them like with a Nethril and just any poisoners, doesn't matter what rarity obviously, but every 4 turns you're gonna go in, damage inflicted by 20%, so every 4 turns you're going in with all of your allies. You put them on a counterattack team with a bunch of poisoners and you're just landing so many poisons, right? You're always keeping that 10 out of 10 on the poisons. You're always landing whatever debuffs the other champions have on their A1s, the decreased attack, the decreased defense, whatever, and it just compounds the damage more than you might expect on this ability. So I love this, plus again having the weaken on there, having like a pretty decent damage scaling as well. It's just, I think he's a really solid champion. I think that his name needs to be mentioned a little bit more. Probably the most controversial champion that I'll put on this list, but I'm sure if you have him, you will agree with me. Hey, speaking of Nethril, here he goes. 4.9 clan boss rating is because of these poisons, man. He is one of the better poison layers inside the game. Attacks one enemy 3 times, each on his A1 here again. Each one of these hits has a 50% chance when booked, chance of placing the strong version of poison for 2 turns. And then he has the stun. I mean, this is just arena stuff for the most part on the A2 and again on the A3. But it's really about this blood harvest, having the 50% times 3 every single time on the A1. If you're using Nethril and you're not on auto attack on clan boss, you just be using basically his first ability over and over and over and over again, unless the debuffs are full at 10, then you can switch to his A2 or his A3. But other than that, you're basically just keep spamming these 3-hit strong version of poisons for 2 turns each. Really solid champion. Another guy kind of towards the bottom of the top 10, certainly really good, but you know, some of the earlier champions I liked a little bit better, including the next one. But either way, it is Rason. Rason Scarhide is a lizard man. Of course, Force Affinity can be fused as well for you guys. Takes a little bit of time, but he's a permanent fusion inside the game. Attacks one enemy 3 times, 20% chance of removing 1 random buff from the target. On the A2, and this is his money ability, especially against clan boss here on the 3-turn cooldown, attacks one enemy, 75% chance, can be booked up to 100% chance of placing that decreased defense buff and the weaken on the same ability. Really solid, and he puts out decent amount of damage on top of it, damage based on defense on your Rason. And then, like I said, just puts out solid damage and really consistent against clan boss. A lot of teams use him. He's one of the easier legendaries, dare I say easy and legendary in the same sentence, but because of the fusion, he's one of the less difficult, how about that? Less difficult champions to actually get your hands on in the game. So I did include him in my top 10. What do you guys think? And last but not least, I told you I loved her, and I do. It's Xayvia. Xayvia has a really interesting and unique hit, and some people, when they see it at first, they think that it's not that great for clan boss, but it really is if you build the correct team around her, right? So let's take a look at it here. On the A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 40% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns, similar to Nethril, a little bit less of a percentage on there. Her A2 also lands poisons, attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance and can be booked up to 75% chance of placing that 5% poison again for 2 turns. And then our A3, it's interesting. Attacks all enemies, damage dealt from all poison, or deals damage, excuse me, from all poison debuffs to the target immediately. And then poison debuffs will only deal half the standard damage when this skill hits bosses. Otherwise, it would be absolutely insane. Now, why is that even good? Why is doing half damage, why is that good? Because you put her in a team of heavy poisoners, right? So you are overloading. Put her with a Nethril with a Bad L or something like that. I mean, granted, I'm naming all these legendary top tier whale champions in the game. Just put her with a bunch of poison dealers, and she's going to be, you know, every 4 turns stripping away those poisons, giving you a clean slate because the clan boss can only hold 10, and it actually works better than you might think, even with that half damage. And hey, if you go on manual, go off auto, you don't even have to use this ability at all. You can just go and kind of test out the A1 and the A2. This is one of the champions that I actually don't have on the list, so I have not had a chance to go in there in the game and test her myself in terms of, okay, comparing the A3, I just watched a couple of YouTube videos on it, frankly, and some people are kind of split. Are they always using the A3? A few people are adamant that yes, you are always using it and building her with a heavy poison team, and a few people are like, no, you never use it in clan boss. So because I don't have her, I don't know the correct answer though, but maybe one of you guys can let me know in the comments below. Either way, she does make and round out the list of the top 10 legendary non-void champions for clan boss inside Raid Shadow Legends. That was a mouthful. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, consider subscribing. I appreciate you guys, and as always, take care, guys.